What is up guys, so today for this video we're going to be looking at the Marvel Avengers beta. So I'm going to be talking about some of the things I really enjoy playing beta in regards to the heroes, being Kamala, Hulk, Black Widow and Iron Man. I'm going to be talking about abilities. I'm going to be trying to break down ISO 8 sets. I'm going to try to be breaking down also combos and also like transversal movements as well, because like I feel like these things, they haven't really been spoken on properly. So I'm going to try my best to kind of like incorporate all of these things in this video. Like I said, this is just a beta review because I have been seeing a lot of videos out on YouTube where a lot of people have been saying really bad things about the game, and I guess, you know, everyone is entitled to their own opinion at the end of the day, but there are some things that are very controversial in regards to what I've been seeing. So for me personally, like I just wanted to like just give my personal thoughts on like the game and what I've experienced from playing it, because for me personally, like I find this game to be really fun. I find it to be very enjoyable, especially when you're playing with your friends as well. Like that's when the game really shines, because then, you know, you and your friends, you can all like play together and have a good time, and you're trying to like do different abilities and combos and moves, and while also trying to like pull off some really insane finishers and everything. So it's quite fun and it's very cool to actually play together with your friends, as this game is a multiplayer co-op game. So like I said, I'm going to be showcasing all these things in this video while also trying to give my personal thoughts and also try like to do like a little review about this game as well, because for me personally, especially how there were new people coming to the channel, especially a lot of people are going to be wondering like, is this game good? Is it worth actually picking up? You know, should I spend the money so I can actually get the game myself, or should I just leave it? So I'm going to try to answer a few of those questions, especially to what I've seen at least from people who have come into the streams and everything. And before we get started in this video, I just want to say thank you to everyone as well for getting the channel up to 700 subscribers. We just had an influx of new players coming in, so thank you so much. So as we carry on for the video, if you guys can just drop a like on this video before we get started, it is much appreciated and helps as well with the YouTube algorithm in regards to getting this video out there. So do drop a like on the video guys if you haven't already, and do hit that subscribe button as well. But other than that, thank you for watching this video, and we're going to dig straight into it and get into this review. So first of all, we can just look at the skins right now, which I'm showcasing. So there are a few characters and they actually have their skins. Some of them, they're very MCUS based. Some of them are very iconic, and some of the skins you can actually unlock them through the challenge cards. Some of them you unlock by doing challenges, and also some of the skins that you can unlock in this game, you can actually get them from the campaign or the story mode, which will obviously be playable in roughly 2 weeks time from me making this video. So one thing I really like about this game as well is how there's like a variety of different skins as well, especially for the characters: Black Widow, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, etc, etc. The list basically just goes on. But it's actually really cool to just kind of like just go for the skins and actually have a showcase of what you can actually see in regards to actually how some of the characters are going to be. Some skins are like just reskins of others, and I guess that can be a problem to other people. Like some people who I've seen, at least, they have always wanted skins to be more flashy, if that makes sense. Like the skins are kind of like very different. You know, having a reskin of a skin kind of like just defeats the purpose of a skin in general. But at the same time, if you're not really too fussed about that, you can actually get past that, because I do find that some of the skins in this game actually look really nice, especially the ones for Black Widow, who is one of the characters I've really had a lot of fun with playing in the beta. So I'm always trying to see if I can like select a Black Widow skin that I think is very appealing and also like very interesting as well to kind of like defeat enemies with. So as I'm doing right now, just showcasing Hulk, and some of you guys may know this one. And there were a few Hulk skins in the game as well, which are quite funny to look at, especially this one. This one's actually really like funny to look at, but at the same time it's pretty cool at the same time to think that they actually went this far in regards to actually picking up a skin for Hulk to like showcase him in a suit. I just think that's really cool. And obviously for Iron Man or Tony, so there's a few skins like I mentioned, you unlock them for the challenges card, and I'm going to be explaining how you can do so. Also there's skins unlocked like from playing the campaign, and in the beta as well, some skins you can't even see. There were some skins in the beta that you can't even see. In the full game there's going to be an even wider variety of skins that you can actually unlock, which is actually really cool. Some skins in the game are actually really pretty cool. Like I said, some of them actually reskins, and some of them actually change the way the character looks, and there are some where are just very funny to look at, being this one right here. But this is probably one of my favorite skins in the game for Tony as well. When you take a look at the challenge cards, you can actually see that when you level up your character, that you'll actually unlock specific items in the game. Some of them may be nameplates, some of them may be skins, and I think skins are the ones that you're mainly going to try to go for, or maybe even the nameplates, which are actually pretty cool. So you actually can skip some of these by actually using credits in the game, which I think are going to be like in-game currency also, which is actually pretty cool. So if there's a skin that you really want, but you're not the level yet to unlock it, because bear in mind, when you do reach that level, you do unlock these things for free. So everything that you're seeing right now can be obtainable for free. However, like I mentioned, you can actually use credits and you can actually get this specific skin, or maybe that nameplate, or maybe that emote that you're really trying to go after. So credits are in the top right hand corner, which are those like blue crystal things next to the green plates as well. So like if you have a plentiful load of credits, I'm assuming you can like maybe use that for in-game currency. Like I mentioned, you can possibly buy credits. You can then maybe get that skin like I mentioned, or you can get that nameplate that you really want, or even that emote. So it's actually really cool because there's a little variety. If you're, like I mentioned, if you're someone who really wants to get that emote straight off the get-go and you don't have the credits for, you can actually spend money to get that. And this isn't giving you an edge over anyone. It's simply just for you, if that makes sense. It's just for you only, and that's the only thing about it, which is actually pretty cool. You're not getting an edge over anyone. It's not pay to win or anything like that. There's also the marketplace as well, which is actually pretty cool. So if you're after a specific skin or an emote or even like a nameplate like I mentioned, you can go to the marketplace, and this marketplace is going to be updated and it is going to be on a timer. So it could possibly be like a 1 week timer, 2 week timer. It all depends on when Crystal Dynamics actually decide to do the timer for. So like I mentioned, these are some of the skins available in the beta that you actually could purchase with the in-game credits. When you started the beta, I believe they gave you 3,000 credits off the get-go, and then you can then decide to pick whatever skin or whatever emote or nameplate that you'd like to get. However, like I mentioned, in the full game, you'll actually be able to purchase these credits so that you can actually pick up more skins if you wanted to. I do genuinely feel like this is actually a really good thing in my opinion, because like I mentioned earlier, it's not like you're paying to win or anything like that, because it's just simply cosmetics. In my personal opinion, I don't feel like cosmetics, especially for paying for cosmetics, is a bad thing. You know, maybe there's a really cool emote that you want to have, but you don't have the time to actually grind out the character to unlock them. Well, you can just pay, you get the credits, and then you can pick up that skin and it's or that emote, which is actually perfectly fine. So for me personally, like I mentioned, it's a pretty cool thing, and I think this is actually really like nice way to also like show support to the developers as well, because if they're giving you a really cool game that you enjoy, you're having fun with, and there's this amazing skin that you want to pick up, like I don't see why not that you shouldn't be able to actually pay if you generally don't have the time, like I mentioned, to grind for the character. At the end of the day, it will come to how much they're actually going to class the credits for. We still don't have a full confirmation of how much credits are going to cost in regards to real money, but at the same time, hopefully it's nothing like too crazy. But I wouldn't really say that's like a worry or anything like that, because for me personally, I do definitely think I will be doing this also to show support to the developers, and you know, also thank them as well for making like a really cool game, because there are some skins in the game that I really want to get my hands on, but unfortunately I ran out of credits in the beta, so I wasn't able to actually purchase them and actually like use them on my characters for any videos or anything like that. So at the end of the day, like I mentioned, it's a pretty cool feature, and the marketplace, like I mentioned, is going to be updated on, it's going to be on a weekly timer or maybe a 2 week timer, so definitely keep an eye out for the marketplace when the full game drops as well. When it comes to loading up missions as well, the war table is going to be your go-to place whenever it comes to playing with your friends or if you're playing solo. When you play solo, you can just play with the character that you want to choose, and you'd also have the option to select free AI companions as well to join you, which are based on your characters exactly. So if you have a Power 25 Iron Man as an example, because you leveled up your Iron Man, you got some gear for him, your AI companion is going to be the exact Iron Man that you have, if that makes sense, which is actually pretty cool. It's a very nice feature as well. So just in the beta, there's only a few missions that you can actually play, but that's nothing too crazy or anything like that. In the full game, especially if you guys have seen like videos from Crystal Dynamics showcasing the full game, there's actually so much more missions and drop zones that you can actually do, while also changing the difficulty as well, which is also a very good feature as well. So if you're playing on easy and you think, man, this is really too easy, I'm really like gained for this content really quickly, then I'd highly recommend switching up the difficulty. You know, maybe try challenge 3, or maybe you want to try challenge 4, which is brutal. So difficulty does scale based on your power level, and it also increases the enemy's resistance to you, also giving you a challenge, which is actually not too bad as well. Now we take a look at combat, and I think combat and gameplay are the two things that really go well with each other, especially for this game, in my personal opinion. Playing this game, playing the beta, I've had a lot of fun actually trying out every single character that you can play in co-op, being Iron Man, Kamala, Hulk, and also Black Widow. Me preferably, Black Widow is the character that I've had the most fun playing with, just because I really like how her combos actually work well with each other, how her moves actually pair very well also, and I'm a big Black Widow fan, so it kind of works like a win-win if that makes sense, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, what I've seen a lot in discussions especially is that the game is very button mashy. The game is very repetitive. You only press one button, being button mashy again. There's no in-depth to this game. These are things I've heard countless times, especially from other reviewers, and it brings up the question to me personally. And from my experience, like, I'm a person that I really like digging into the skill trees and actually like trying to see if I can actually pull off a combo. Whenever I pulled the Black Widow skill tree as an example, and it says as an example you can get this combo by hitting these buttons or stringing these buttons together in order to pull off maybe 2 combos in one successful strike, that is like a challenge to me. It actually makes me want to do these combos because I'd actually want to put it off in game, which I find is actually really good. So in my personal opinion, I don't think the game is button mashy only at the start of the game when you play that 8-day mission where you don't have anything unlocked, there are no skill points, you just have the base character exactly how they give you. In that regards, it can be very button mashy, but when you dig into the actual co-op experience, which is what I'm doing right now, you actually realize that if you really take the time to actually read through the combos and actually try to actually play them characters properly, you'd actually realize that in a lot of scenarios you'll be pressing these buttons as fast as you can, trying to remember specific combos, and also like showcasing how well you can actually hold your own against other enemies as well, because there are some enemies in this game that are extremely hard to take down, and if you're just doing light attacks as an example, it's not going to be very good. So mixing up your light attacks and also your heavy attacks is also very good in regards to making sure that you can actually keep an edge, especially on your opponents, because when you're going to put against opponents that actually have like shields as an example, if you're just using light attacks, you're not going to be very successful in regards to actually taking them down. So this is where heavy attacks actually come into play. So you need to actually prioritize the target that you're actually defeating and make sure that you're actually mixing up your content so that you can actually do specific combos to either defeat your opponents depending on what opponents you're going up against, while also showcasing that you can actually hold your own, like I mentioned, in a lot of scenarios. When you're playing Iron Man as an example, you can switch between his rockets, his lasers, and also his repulsors, which is actually pretty cool. And the one good thing about this game as well, in my personal opinion, is that it doesn't get enough praise for its gear. And when I say gear, obviously in the beta there is only so much that you can do with gear, but as you guys are seeing me do right now, I actually have like frozen this enemy while in midair because I actually have a gear perk on one of Iron Man's gear, which actually allows me, whenever I do light combo finishers, I actually freeze my enemies. This is actually really good, and also like a very in-depth mechanic as well, because it actually allows you to set up combos in a more unique way. Because let's just say that you have a gear perk that actually allows you to do, let's say you want to freeze your opponents as an example when you do light combos to them, then it's going to make you want to do those light combos as much as possible and as fast as possible so that you can actually freeze your opponents, so that you can actually do combos to them maybe while they're in midair. There are actually gear perks as well. Some of them produce like cosmic energy, some of them are like pin particle tech, you get stock tech, you get cosmic energy, and it's also really cool to dig into these ability perks to actually see which one fits your playstyle more. Maybe you want to have a gamma build, like as an example, if you're playing as Iron Man and you have like gamma on your abilities, your lasers would then turn green, or maybe your rockets would be green, or your repulsors would be green. So there's a lot of like in-depth mechanics to this game, and I don't think the game gets enough praise for that. And I really want to just showcase that, because I feel like when you actually mix up your gear perks, let's just say that you have a gear perk that when you do light combos, you freeze your enemies, but then let's just say you have another gear perk that says when you do heavy combos, you then give off gamma damage. That's actually really good, because then you're going to be mixing up your playstyle to actually apply those status effects to your opponents. Maybe you want to see your opponent frozen in midair, and then maybe you want to see some gamma damage dots actually applying to your target. So definitely keep an eye out as well for gear, especially because I do feel like gear is going to be a very big thing in the full game as well. And like I mentioned, it doesn't get enough praise in the game as it does right now, because there are a lot of people out there, especially other reviewers who I've seen, who have said the gear is very generic and the gear does nothing to your character in regards to changing the way they look. I understand that and I get that entirely. There are some people who actually would like the gear to change the way the character looks, and there are some people who are very happy with how the gear is in regards to it just being special effects and actually applying status effects to your opponents. Like I said, for me personally, whenever I get gear drops, especially epic gear or even legendary gear, I always look to see what the gear perks are. Some of them, they may give you like invulnerability, which is actually pretty cool. Some of them, it might be gamma, it might be cosmic, it might be gamma or anything like that, like I mentioned twice. Sorry, I said gamma twice, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to say really. There's just like so many different gear perks in the game that you can actually try to look at and also try to get a better understanding, because if you have, as an example, let's just say you have pin particle on your Iron Man and you keep applying the status effects to your opponents, not only is it going to shrink them as well, so very similar to Ant-Man, what is going to happen as well, it's going to lower the enemy's defenses as well because they are shrunken. So this is actually a really cool mechanic, especially when you're playing with your friends also, because let's just say that you have pin particle tech on your Iron Man, you're shrinking your enemies, you're reducing the defensive, then it just makes it easier for you and also your teammates to defeat the enemies as well, which is actually really, really cool. And it makes for some really funny moments as well when you're playing as Hulk, as an example, and you just shrink an enemy down to like a puny size and you can just go crazy on them and just destroy them. So it's pretty cool sometimes to see that. Speaking of gear as well, when I mentioned this is one of the strong points I think of for this game, is that when you actually take a look at all of the gear that you have collected, you can actually read through some of the gear perks and actually see what they do. And how you unlock the second and third perks is you hold square on your controller and it actually unlocks the perks. However, you need the materials needed to actually unlock them. So those materials, you can get them while, just from playing the game, and also like you can actually farm them, especially when you see like those crates or those boxes of containers and they have like little orbs inside them. You can get the material from those little gear perks as well, which is quite nice. But it's actually pretty cool, like I mentioned, to actually like dig into the gear and actually like properly read through the gear perks to kind of get a better understanding of what type of build you're going for. Maybe you want a all gamma build, or maybe you want a all pin particle build, or maybe you want a cosmic build. It kind of all comes down to you at the end of the day. It's pretty cool to mix and match as well, because it's really nice to see like different status effects actually being applied to your opponents, which is actually really cool. And also the good thing about this as well, because it's a co-op game, if your teammates also have gear that actually does status effects as well, it's going to make it even more fun seeing all these different crazy status effects actually being applied to enemies, which is actually really fun. And it makes for some really, really cool like videos as well. Or even like some really fun animations, just watching enemies being shrunken, or just seeing Iron Man shoot green repulsor like rockets. It's actually really cool. So definitely gets a win from me, if that makes sense, which is really nice, I think, in my personal opinion. When playing the characters as well, every character for me personally, they felt very different to each other. If I was playing Hulk as an example, playing Hulk felt so much different to playing the likes of like Kamala or Black Widow or even Tony. And I think this is one of like the really good things about the game as well, like is that every character feels different. You can't pick up Hulk as an example and think he's going to play exactly like Iron Man. It just won't happen. Yes, there might be a little bit of button mashing in regards to if you don't actually have some of the skill trees unlocked, so that you can actually dig into the combos and everything a bit more. And bear in mind, in the full game, there is much more skill trees as well. In the beta, we only have a small percentage of what's actually meant to actually come in the full game. So definitely keep that in mind as well, especially if you think, oh, I've seen this combo before, or I've seen the same punch animation maybe once or twice or 3 times in the same video as an example. Do keep in mind there is going to be much more in the full game. And like I said, this is just a beta and this is just a little tester just to showcase exactly what the full game is going to look like. But still at the same time, you can definitely still have fun in the beta and actually have fun and actually pull off some really cool combos, or even like, some special abilities and stuff. And speaking of abilities, one good thing as well that I've seen is that when you actually use the likes of Hulk, Kamala, and also Tony, when you can actually hold down the trigger before you use one of the abilities, and it'll actually would charge up this ability much more, which is actually really good as well. When you're playing your heroes as well, like I mentioned earlier, when you actually hold down the triggers for when you're using your abilities, mainly your right trigger, which is like the R1 button, charging up your abilities is actually really good, because not only does it gives you more damage for when the ability actually goes off, but it's also very good to actually power up the ability as well, which is actually very nice as well. There are some people out there who still don't know that you can actually charge up these abilities, and an example of this is actually Iron Man when using his Unibeam ability. When you use the Unibeam, some people, they just press it and then they do the animation, use the Unibeam, but it's very short. However, when you actually hold down the R1 trigger and you do the Unibeam attack, it goes on for a much longer period of time. And I would think that in the full game there's possibly maybe skill trees that you can actually dig into in regards to maybe increasing the damage of it, or maybe increasing the duration of how long you can actually fire it off, which I think would actually be pretty cool. So definitely keep that in mind, guys, especially for the full game, because I don't think a lot of people actually know about that. So before this video ends, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching the video. is much appreciated that you guys come out here and you support the channel, and I really want to see this game succeed. I've got a lot of high hopes for this game, and I think that this game could be one of the really good Avengers games, especially on console, because we've been wanting a good console game for a very long time. So if you have enjoyed this video, do drop a like on it. It is much appreciated, and definitely do hit that subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel, as there's going to be more streams and more videos for Avengers as well. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you have a really good rest of your day or evening, depending on your time zone, and take care and see you in the next one.